The Oyo State government and police authorities are seeking the restoration of peace in troubled areas of the state. Governor Seyi Makinde, who was represented by a delegation led by his special advisor on security, Fatai Owoseni, appealed to all stakeholders to embrace dialogue and shun communal clashes. Now, the Commissioner of Police, Ngozi Onadeko, in her address at some communities, assures that security has been beefed up at the two border towns and Igangan to forestall further breach of peace in the areas. The youths in Igangan community earlier accused the Fulani community of complicity in the acts of kidnapping, banditry, and killings of people in the area. Well, joining me in the studio is security consultant Richard Amoa. Also here is Darlington Umoru, security consultant and public affairs analyst. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, I'm certain that we have been following developments in both Oyo and Ondo states, yeah. Yes, and we saw the response of the presidency with regards to that. Today is supposed to be the end of the eviction notice to the herders in the state, but somehow within the week we saw a calls for conversation, dialogue, and calls for sincerity in the process of dialoguing. And stakeholders will be meeting today to have that dialogue. But then again, let's look at what has been happening, how we have been handling all that we saw happening within the state, how it got to this point. What you make of it? Let me begin with you, Darlington.
Well, it's a painful situation. It's a threat to security. Bandits, of course, we knew how they all started. Zamfara, the gold mining issue in Zamfara, how some of them were hired, the illegal miners. Right. How some persons were hired and armed to protect them and assist them in achieving their criminal activities. Eventually, it snowballed into something else. Of course, the same issue with some persons who arm thugs. At the end of the day, after achieving their aims, they will be unable to retrieve those firearms, small weapons, in their possession. Bandits, after the issue of Boko Haram, is apparently taking over the stage completely now. Of course, don't forget the line of their operations and the axis through which they operate. They initially basically were working on the northwest axis, talking about Zamfara, Kaduna, Katsina, and Kebbi. These were areas where we knew they were thriving. But as it is today, the situation is different. I think they are expanding and stretching beyond the northwest as it is at the moment. And it's a cause for concern. It's a cause for concern because today farmers are suffering. Right. It was the issues of herders, farmers at a point in time. But today what we're seeing is the issue of bandits and farmers. So we really cannot say this is a clear cut between the bandits and the herders anymore. Now, crimes are committed. People go to farms, they are raped. Women are raped. Married women are raped. Young ladies are raped. Young girls are raped. People are kidnapped into the forest, and then ransom is paid. Right. And then what is happening today? And then if the thing is gradually moving from the northwest down to south, then the Southerners some of them are rising up to the challenge to say, no, we must not condone this. There are certain issues. Security is what we're talking about here. Who should be in charge of security and take control of these few Fulani bandits? So
are you saying that the eviction notice by both governors of Oyo State and Ondo State was a right move in the first place?
I think the Oyo State governor didn't really give eviction notice. It was actually Sunday who gave eviction notice to the Fulanis, who went...
The Oyo State governor has said that undocumented herders in the state should leave.
It's a different situation.
Right.
Unlike what we have in Ondo State, where the governor is saying that they should all vacate, yes, they should vacate the forest. But again, I'm not a lawyer. We should be conscious of something. What does the Constitution say? Does the Constitution allow you to chase a certain set of Nigerians just like that out of their states? And then are we also conscious of the reprisal effect of such notices? That is what the federal government is concerned about. Take your mind back to 1966 when it happened. When, for instance, a tribe says you must leave, and then the other tribe in reprisal says your people must also leave our land. And then when it gets to that level, then it becomes a situation where security is threatened, and then the matter will actually get out of control. That's why apparently what is happening today in Ondo. So the eviction notice is expiring, but even so, there's a wonderful development that has come out of all of it. The dialogue. And there's no issue, no crisis that you will face that you don't come back to the round table for a dialogue to resolve.
And that is where I would take it up with you, Richard. There's going to be a dialogue today. No. And it is said all stakeholders are meant to be on that table. And a lot of persons are saying there has to be that aspect of transparency, telling themselves the truth with regards to this matter so that it can be tackled once and for all.
Yeah, for me, I think this dialogue that is coming is really coming pretty late.
Really?
Oh, yeah, because this issue of herdsmen, farmers, it's been on. I must confess this. I'm on national television here. Yesterday, I was just really almost getting depressed with the killing. As it is right now, you cannot drive between Benin, Assis Express Road. The governor is not saying quick notice, everybody go back to their... No. It's a lawyer, and we know him as a former head of MBA. So he could just come to national television and just give that.
So he knows the legal implications.
Exactly. What I read and I heard is the fact that the illegal herdsmen, they should leave, or they should come and register. They should leave the forest. You see, we can't continue to toy with people's life. I'm a security consultant, and I have some of my location in that ASICs, and the report you get, what's the essence of starting Amotekun? Those are the things that aggravated the fact that governor said, okay, even with our little resources, let's see how we can have a regional security. But then, I did say that Amotekun cannot solve this issue. Mr. President himself said, people from Libya, when the war in Libya started and all those terrorists and other guys, they are the one that came to the country as Boko Haram, as herdsmen, as bandits. What has our security agencies, what have they done? Then again, I sympathize with these guys too. I keep saying it, how many army do we even have? How many policemen do we have?
Some persons have said that they are overstretched.
They're overstretched.
They are dealing with Boko Haram, and now
as I'm telling you right now, there is no state in this federation, this Nigeria, that you don't have army working as a police. Where is it done? They're in the northeast, they're in the northwest. Now we're talking about southwest. Don't forget again that they are in the south too, in the oil region. So it's a situation of what do we actually want? How do we go about this? So now, coming back to this question, I think it's a good thing. I grew up in River Niger area, growing up in Anambra West. That's where I was born. The first time I met the Fulanis, they were very friendly people. I keep telling you, they will give us this fura, they don't know. And they were very nice. They will not even destroy your farm.
Right.
Because my father, even as a tailor, we still also have a farm. What I'm saying that at what point do they become our enemy that we have to ask them to leave? So the point here is that let's look at the criminals among these herdsmen and ask them to leave. I'm not saying the real ones should leave. No. Nobody's going to say that. The criminals among them, they know. Like we always say that every business owners, every community, every man and woman knows the criminal element in their midst. So these herdsmen will know those ones who are criminals. They should report them. When we're growing up, no herdsmen carry AK-47. What they carry is stick. That's it, to control their cows. But how come today they are carrying AK-47? Yesterday, as I'm talking to you, just yesterday, about 15 people were taken to the bush. It's online everywhere. So how long are we going to continue like this? In our own country? So I think it's something Mr. President and his team need to look at. The security here is unbecoming, especially in Southwest.
Now, let's look at fishing out those who are the criminals from amongst them, because it's seemingly being a Herculean task. This is something that they have been talking about over time. Fish out the criminal elements from amongst you. You should know them. And that is where the question about the role of traditional rulers, the Serikin Fulani who are in these states, what they should be doing to identify those who are the criminals causing all of this havoc.
A wonderful question. I love this aspect you just mentioned, because we've not really been looking at it, talking about how to really fish out the criminals involved. I draw your attention to what, was it the Mayati Allah chairman said sometime? He did demand, he appealed that even the Amotekun should find a way of embracing the Fulani members.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, wonderful. Why am I interested in this aspect? Now, I want to wholeheartedly support what he has recommended. It has been pretty difficult on the ground that it has been pretty difficult for the security agents themselves to fish out the criminal elements among the Fulanis. Yeah. Talking about the bandits now.
Yes.
Right.
Now, let's look at it this way. For instance, if you have members of that body as part of the security group, it becomes easier to access these persons, particularly where federal government agents have not been able to do it completely alone because of the limitation of their manpower and machineries. Now, who and who is supposed to constitute like the vigilante groups? They're supposed to be part of these people. It takes somebody, there's a word that is in my head I'm trying not to make use of.
You're being careful.
Yes, I'm being careful because I'm on live television. It takes, for instance, a man who belongs to a group to be able to identify members who are in that group who are criminal elements.
Yeah.
Right.
It is also easier to apprehend members of that group through some members of that same particular group. Yeah. Now, what I'm trying to say is easy. It will be difficult to ask that this person should leave. I do not subscribe to that. What I subscribe to is that fish out the criminal element and prosecute them. And how do you fish out these criminal elements amongst them? They are doing their businesses, but some, like he rightly said, we're talking, what he mentioned just now was proliferation of small arms in our society, which has not been curtailed. Yeah. The security agents have not been able to contain that. Now, if you have members of the Fulani joining the vigilante groups of these various regions, and then when it is time to go to the forest, when there's a criminal issue reported, then these persons will be able to lead also, and then be able to identify and then take registration of every header or every Fulani man. If you say it's not a matter of Fulani, we are tribalizing the whole thing, right? Which is apparently wrong. We are generalizing this matter, please. What we need to do is find a way of registering. If you have headers in your society, find a way of registering them. If you want to do that through the Serikin Fulani, to give you a list of all the headers, who, for instance, are in the forest at a given time, please do so. And don't forget, there's something we also do not know. Do you know that all the cattle, heads of cattle in the hands of these headers are not owned by the Hausas or the Fulanis?
Right.
Most of them are owned by the states. And then individuals in the states where they reside, some of them are merely employed, okay, to take these animals for grazing. And then like he said, what we used to have was either bow and arrow or the stick on their distance to defend those cattle from animals. Now, we need a proper register for those of them who are resident in certain states. And then you could achieve that through their own members. In every state they have the Serikin Fulanis. They also have the Hausa Serikins in towns and in states. For instance, for goodness sake, bring these people together, harmonize them, tell them for every of your member that is resident in this state, we want to have a register. We want to know them. And we want to know those who are in the forest. So if there's any issue, you know those to call upon.
So these are the issues that should be on the front burner
today.
This
is it. Apparently, these recommendations I'm giving, I hope they are watching. For the meeting that is going to happen in Ondo State, they should quickly embrace it. TVC is widely seen in every part. I remember the last time before when the Kankara boys were taken, we did mention here, and I made some recommendations, precisely what the federal government did to get those boys, and they got all of them out.
No, in supporting what you just said, because I know that the meeting is going to be held today, I think they should be listening to us right now. Trust issue is one thing that is killing all this country.
That is where I was going to.
Yeah, trust issue. I did remember when this Mitela chairman said that let's have Fulanis to be part of the Amotekun. But people, I read it.
No, they didn't reason. They didn't look at it from the security point of view.
As a security consultant, I said this is a good point here.
That is it.
Because there's no way you can get the criminal element from the Fulanis when you are not a Fulani
those
person.
who are carrying out this criminal activities.
Because there's no way, I keep saying it, in Nigeria, Fulani, they were brothers.
So the issue of trust is a major issue that has to be dealt with.
Yeah. So what Mr. Sunday is doing right now, people should ask him to calm down, and see how the governors can come up with this, the real headsmen and the Amotekun guys, and work together as a team. That's the only way you can go about it.
Even if you want to have an undercover, for instance, in security, even if you want to have an undercover, you either need a Fulani proper man or somebody who can completely disguise like a Fulani man, because they will only embrace their own when it goes to them in the forest, then for wherever they are.
Who understand their language.
Who must be, not just understanding the language, who must speak the language fluently. That is when you can be embraced.
Yes, but you see, even the Fulani themselves, the herdsmen themselves, they need to do themselves a very good something right now. In the sense that they need to come out and say, listen, we are not what people think we are.
That is
no,
if they understand it.
Exactly.
You are talking about...
Some of them have been saying that. Some of them have been saying that.
You are saying that some of them are... sorry, forgive my language. Most of them are illiterates. And the language they know is the ability to carry out their profession. So, to which some of them were born into. Okay? And then... these persons that do not even have the normal education, you're beginning to say they want to reason the way. What you need is a leadership in each of the states embraced into the local security arrangement that will be able to speak the language those other ones will understand who are not very well educated. I think this is the way to go. Because, for instance, if you continue to say that our overwhelmed security agents should go into the forest and go after these persons, they should only... These security agents should only add up to the number of local security arrangements, which has to also include, because for every Hausa Fulani, they believe in their leadership, their Seriki. When he speaks, they listen. When he says this is the way to go, they follow.
And that was why I was asking the role of the traditional institution.
Yes, even the traditional institution, for instance, here, we're talking about the leadership of the Fulani in all the states which they have.
I want to say again the role of media using their local language. If you see these guys in the bush everywhere they have their little transistor radio. So there's nothing stops their people from talking to them, saying we are one. And as a result of this should be done, that should be done. You see, this is... And
they will listen.
They will listen. They will listen. This is going to be an holistic security approach. We just not sit back and say, no. Guys, listen. These guys have been with us since we were born. And we can't suddenly say they should go.
Before we were born.
So please, I think we should calm down. Like I said, I was thinking this morning, sorry I have to bring this in. I was 2 years old when Biafra War was fought. My father told me this story. I think my father always tell me that it's a child who have not seen war that asks for war. Please, we are one Nigeria. We speak different languages. We love one another. It is when you leave this country that you appreciate you being in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, because we're in Nigeria, that's why we don't know the influence of the brotherhood that we have. I think today the governors in Southwest need to sit back with the Metihala and come up with a very good reason.
We have given them security recommendations free of charge without collecting any money from them. But one thing I must also advise is that the federal government at this time should be careful the way they handle this matter.
That's another issue.
Which is a major concern for a lot of persons.
Yes, because for instance, the declaration that Sunday should be arrested should go down.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
It's not right.
It's not right.
It's not right.
No.
How so?
Now, two wrongs cannot make a right. This is security matter. Now, Sunday gave a deadline for them to move out as a result of what is happening, and he and some others in Ibadan felt that the state governor was not doing enough in terms of protecting their people. And so what did they? You see, the security situation is getting to a point where some persons want to take it upon their hands, even though, hang on please, even though it is not proper.
Yes.
Now they should consider the legal implication of some of the things they do. But even when they do it, there's a better way to go about it.
Which is?
For me, for instance, like what happened in Igogon, what the federal government ought to have done was to ask the state governor to invite Sunday to speak with him and possibly bring him to Abuja, if you wanted him to come to Abuja. But if you are asking that the police should arrest him, which is not completely out of place, you say he should be arrested and be brought there, you are stirring up the problem the more. Because the youth will be agitated. There are some of them I could tell, I know him in person.
Okay.
I know Sunday. Recently we were together somewhere when they had this WBF fight, in Ibadan. I was there and we were there together. Now, there are times where things happen. Remember the issue of the Niger Delta, when pipelines were being blown. Sometimes, at a point in time, some of these leaders of these bodies were declared wanted. At another time, they were invited. There's nothing wrong in just sending a letter or through the governor to him to say, please come, let's see you. Now, when it comes to security, there's the locals. There's a way they interpret it when the person they see as their leaders, when you say...
Whom they trust.
Go and arrest him. Because to them now...
Hang on, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
To them now, for instance, we heard that about 15 women had been raped.
And over
50 million had been paid as ransom. And over time, some of these persons say they cannot go to farm again. Now, what is the livelihood condition of the people in Oyo State? What is say about 60% of them?
Beyond the security implication, it has other implications from what you have pointed
out. Of course!
Right.
That is why the federal government should be very conscious about their interests, particularly their media spokespersons.
Do you know what I want to chip in here?
Yes.
I hope we don't going to turn this guy to like what we had in South, where this guy going to run to the bush again and have his own army. That's why I support what you just said. Sunday should be called. Because
inviting through the governor.
He has a lot of followers right now.
Yes.
When the governors have not done what they're supposed to do, the guy stood up and said, that, okay, listen, nobody invited me, but I feel that I can do this. And look at the crowd. So what the government needs to do right now is not to send police after him. Is to invite him and see that, because he has the crowd, he has the youth with him.
He has the followers.
He has the followers. So right now, instead of driving this guy back to the bush to go and do what they are doing in the northeast and northwest and south, we should be able to say, sit down, embrace him, and discuss
how to go about it. Dialogue.
Tell
him this is the way it should be. We understand it. Federal government, we are looking into it. We are into this.
So it's not arresting him as issue.
It's not declaring him wanted. Then ask the IG to go after him to arrest him. Right now, as I speak with you, I'm sure the youths are agitated.
Exactly.
All right, let's see what happens at the discussion or the conversation between stakeholders today, and we'll see how things move on from there. Hopefully that they are listening to you gentlemen, your suggestions so far. Thank you so much, Security Consultant Richard Amua, as well as Darlington Umoru, Security Consultant and Public Affairs Analyst, for your time on the program.
Thank you so much.